Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Do it.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got some special guests in the building. We have Sonny and Ashley. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
We have a new
for
book,
having
A
us.
Rare Breed, out right now.
That's right, a guide to success for the defiant, dangerous, and different.
Boom.
What does it mean to be a rare breed?
Well, it all started with a question, right? So we had this idea, what if you could take all the pieces of yourself that other people criticize and the things they call defiant, dangerous, and different in you, and you figure out how to turn those things into your selling points instead of into your weaknesses. So we call a rare breed someone who fully leans into who they are, accepts who they are, all the prickly points, all the things that society or our parents or the world at large kind of tells us to continue to grind down. Rare breeds, the people out there who are truly one of a kind and owning who they are, they're making the difference and they're making the dent. And that's really who we wrote this book about. It's these misfits, these outsiders, these people who
We give them a floor.
giving them a floor, and really, the idea that it's somebody who stands out of the herd, who is essentially one of a kind, and who is a person who is not afraid to own who they are in that way in order to succeed.
Now,
I
who is
agree with you.
Who is Sonny and Ashley, for people that don't know? How did you guys get together? How did you start writing a book? So who
Sure.
is Sonny and Ashley?
So, well, I'm obviously the one in the top hat. Sonny's the one in the top hat.
Okay.
No, we grew up together. So we met in our as teens in Chicago, and we grew up together. We went to college together, and in our early 20s, we dropped out of college together to start a branding agency against all the odds. We had $250 in our
Parents hated
bank
y'all,
account.
huh? Being together.
We had $250 in our bank account. Very small coastal South Carolina town, just about an hour north of where Charlamagne grew up, and we sort of launched to a sea of doubters. Everyone around us said, "You're too young, you're too inexperienced, you're too female, you're too broke to succeed in a world where 60-ish admin made the rules." And so who did we think we were coming out to create a branding agency with no prior business experience? But we saw an opportunity where we looked around the industry and we saw a lot of homogenized advertising, and at the time, branding agencies weren't a big thing. It was more like advertising or graphic design. And we sort of came out and we said, what if we could teach leaders and teach organizations how to sort of find out what makes them really special and bring that to the forefront? It really became the kind of concrete idea around motto, and why we called it motto in the first place. A motto is a war cry. And so we grew it out of South Carolina, moved it to Dallas, and then moved it to New York. So we're 15 years into business now. And really, Rare Breed has kind of a culmination of that blueprint of us being the outlier and being told that we should grind down our prickly points and just quiet down to just kind of not be who we actually are. People try to force us into a lane and say, you don't have what it takes to succeed. And so we were writing Rare Breed for the past 15 years. It just took us this maybe last year or so to really formulate and crystallize this idea around owning who you are despite all of the negativity and doubters that we all become accustomed to.
Who was your first client? The first one that actually believed, that you pitched to and they said, I'll give it a try.
So this is a funny story.
Yeah, we worked with a dentist in our local area. We were in a business community where there wasn't a lot of big businesses. There were a lot of mom and pops
That was what
shops.
South Carolina, because you figure you'd want a place where it's huge markets.
Well, right, which is why we're in New York now. But Sonny grew up in South Carolina.
Yeah.
I went to school in South Carolina originally, so it's kind of where we started. But then we did move the business to Dallas, and of course now in New York City. So we're working with a lot of big brands now, but we started off working with those small businesses, the mom and pop stores, the dentist being the first client that we ever worked with.
He was like an early disruptor. He came to us and he said, all of the dentists in the area do everything the same, and I want to do something unordinary. And we're like, well, we're your agency. We're your people. And we didn't even know how to price our services. I'm sure we priced it way too low. But he took a chance on us, and it was from that moment, it really set the business in motion. From that one client, we were able to sort of take that client, and he spread the word, and then we got another client, and then we started reaching like accolades, and people started hearing about us, and they were like,
you, or did you go and pitch it to him?
So we did a really interesting thing. We were very broke, and at that point, I think we were probably weeks within shutting the doors of being able to really keep it going. And we did this really daring and brave thing where we took a garbage can. Back then, Yellow Page ads were like all the rage. Like, and so doing like a mailing or direct mail was kind of a cutting edge thing to do. And so we took the last little bit in our bank account. We created this die cut garbage can. And it literally, you pulled the lid out and all it said was Trash the Ordinary with our phone number and our website address. And we mailed it out to about 250 businesses. And he got one of those garbage cans. And he said, he called us and he said, who are you guys? Where did you come from? Because at the time, there was only like 3 or 4 major players in our area. There was only like 3 or 4 major advertising agencies that everybody knew, everybody worked with. Who were we? I mean, we had an office literally in the ghetto, like a 14 by 14 room in the warehouse. Nobody wanted to come over to our part of town. And, you know, they got curious. I think people were like, who are these 2 young girls working out of an office in the ghetto with, you know, where did you come from? Who are you? And I think that stirred up that little bit of curiosity, and it almost became the thing that became our selling points.
And correct me if I'm wrong, it says you're among the 0.01% of branding agencies strictly owned and run by women?
Yeah, a lot of the businesses in our field are run by men. It's just the fact. There's very few women at the top, very few women executives or the C-level or even owners of companies like ours.
And when we started, every person that hired us was a male. It wasn't until maybe 2009 that we started every other call was a woman saying, I've left a corporate job. I'm making these fruit and veggie smoothies in my kitchen. And I've, you know, I mean, I'm talking like senior VP, vice presidents of banks and people that were really, really well established, abandoning stability for the dream and seeking us out to help realize that dream because they said, you'll understand us. And it was because of the story that we were telling. We were the outlier. We were the misfit. We were the rare breed, which is unordinary among their kind. And I think because of that, people just started to come to us. And we have this saying in the book that many of the same reasons that we were hired were also the same reasons that we were fired. So a lot of people would hire us thinking we're going to get these sort of bold, audacious ideas. And then they would almost get a little bit nervous because we like stability. We don't like discomfort. We're not wired to like discomfort. If anything, we're scared of that. And so it's very much prevalent in companies and organizations. I mean, we've worked with hundreds now at this point. We've been in very big organizations, very small organizations. We've worked with leaders of all shapes and sizes, people within those companies of all shapes and sizes. And there's one thing that's true. You will walk them to the ledge, but they will rarely take the leap. And so we got a tremendous amount of pushback because of that. But it's now become kind of the reason that people seek us out.
Well, let's talk about the rare breed thing for a second, though.
Yeah.
I just want to know, what did they do? What did you do with the dentist that made everybody come to you? Like, what was outside the box at the dentist's office?
So he was really interesting. We not only did we help him shape his entire space, his dental space, but you know, back before like TVs where you could watch Netflix at the dentist, like that was not cool in 2007. Like most people, especially in that area, didn't really do that.
You mean like watching TV in the lobby?
Yeah,
making
Netflix, like when you're getting your teeth done and they'll like put Netflix up. Like that was not something that any of the dentists in the area did. You walked in, everything had seashells and it was coastal, and no one had really created like a cutting edge experience where everything from the moment that you walk in the doors, you are having an experience with that dentist. I mean, especially with people being terrified of going to the dentist anyway. How do you disrupt the ordinary? And we worked with him on thinking through everything from the way that he positioned the location to every decision interior wise to the way we created his signage. I mean, we thought through every detail with him. And it was really a very big launch pad for him moving forward. And then everybody wanted to sort of pivot and do what he was doing. So it was just that beginning of many disruptions that we've disrupted law, audiology, healthcare, food, beverage. You name it, we've touched it.
Let's talk about the rare breed thing, because I agree with the whole concept of rare breeds. But in this era, like right now at this moment, if you are a rare breed, if you cause people discomfort, if you are a disruptor, they want to cancel you.
Oh, yeah.
And immediately comes to mind, I think of Dave Chappelle right now.
Oh, yes.
With his stand-up special.
Yes.
I even think of Kanye, earlier this year, being in the White House. Like, people don't like when you go against the grain.
No, we're not, stability is like a shutoff valve for the brain. And we're taught we're biologically like this. We know we're taught to run from the wolves. So when you break apart from the pack, you are vulnerable and you can get eaten. You can get devoured.
Ooh.
And so I think for businesses, companies, even in our life and career, we don't want to fall back because that means danger.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no different than anything in this world, especially our own identities, which also become vulnerable as part of this. You know, the book is really about identity. Identity is our most powerful asset, but it's also one of the things that's probably the most misunderstood, and it's often compromised because, you know, the first mirror that you look into is usually your parents' eyes. Or it's a guardian, someone who's had an influence over you. Their hopes, their fears, their aspirations for you is projected onto you at a very young age, whether you realize it or not. Their own missteps, their own failures, at times they will cast that onto you because in their mind, they're making up for things that they did not achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And so we become the vessel for delivering their hopes and dreams to the world. And so what happens over time is the more that happens, the more we begin to question our own voice, and our voice, we either become silent or we become awakened. And a lot of us just stay silent forever. There's a lot of us out there in the world right now walking around, going to jobs that we don't like, that we do not feel fulfilled. We're creating anxiety, to your point, your book. We're creating a world of anxiety where you are not allowed to be the full spectrum of who you are. And so Rare Breed is about unleashing that, about tapping into the full spectrum of who we are, about bringing your full self to the table so that you can let the prickly parts shine, which are often your assets.
And not being afraid to question things.
Exactly. You have to question your identity. You have to, and most people just don't take the time.
Now, what are the 7 traits that society condemns? Let's discuss those.
So at the heart of Rare Breed are 7 so-called vices that we believe are actually virtues. So we talk about rebellious, audacious, obsessed, hot-blooded, weird, hypnotic, and emotional. Now, society is going to tell us that these things are cautionary tales. They are completely counterintuitive to our success. But we totally disagree with that, which is why we have reframed them from vices into virtues, and essentially giving a floor for everyone to be able to say, you know what, fuck it. This is who I am. I'm going to suffer the consequences because there are consequences.
Yes.
This is not a pretty paved road. These have being rebellious, being, audacious, having Charlamagne. We talked to you in an interview that we did for our video series, and you said it beautifully. I dreamed myself off of that dirt road in Moncks Corner, South Carolina. And it was your audacity that allowed you to do that.
Ooh, the audacity of hope, like Barack Obama said.
Well, I think audacity, it was your vice, but it was also your virtue. We talked in that interview a lot about the duality of audacity, of it being the thing that opens doors but can also close those doors. It can destroy you as equally as it can uplift you. And so we're proof that identity is something that you don't get. It's something that you claim. And there's a lot of rare breeds in the world walking around right now that don't even know they're a rare breed. They don't even know how to activate it. They may have those traits within themselves, but they've never been given the permission. They've never given themselves permission to say, I am going to identify with myself, own these things, and turn them into my superpowers, essentially.
Do you believe that everybody can make it? You know how they say if you work hard and you put the effort and you put the time and you dream, do you think everybody can make it?
No, I
You
don't.
think that's bullshit?
Yeah, because I think a rare breed is a rare breed for a reason.
Yes.
They're rare. They're not everywhere, but in some ways they are everywhere. But the key difference is while everyone else is suppressing those pain in the ass qualities, rare breeds really lean into theirs. They celebrate them. They let them off the leash to vandalize tradition, to run like hooligans through the corridors of entrenched power. These are people who believe 6 impossible things before breakfast isn't just a quote from Through the Looking Glass. It's a life plan. It's a business plan. And that is the difference between somebody who's a rare breed and someone who's not. And there's so many of them. I mean, Charlamagne's a rare breed, you know? Jay-Z's a rare breed. Kendrick Lamar, Rhapsody, Lady Gaga. I mean, all celebrities. But I guarantee you there's moms and dads out there and your janitor that might be a rare breed, and no one's ever said, you're different, you're special, come as all of who you are.
So to
I
all those
accept
kids,
you.
As kids, we always tell kids, if you work hard, you can be whatever you want to be. If you train and you go beyond where everybody else is going. You can be a this and you can be a that. So you don't necessarily agree with that.
I do believe that it's as much about hard work and tenacity. So we talk in the book about obsession. Kobe Bryant said it perfectly. What's your 4 a.m.? What are you willing to get up at 4 a.m. and go shoot hoops and do while everyone else is sleeping? The truth is you don't get anywhere without hard work. Mm-hmm. It's not like you just show up and you're famous or you dream yourself out of a dirt road because you were just dreaming. There's activation that has to happen as part of that. So for us, it really is about harnessing all of those 7 things and figuring out where to apply them in your life, where to apply the right pressure. You cannot be an excuse. You have to be the thing that's sort of driving you every day, but you also have to know what you're trying to strive for. And I think rare breeds kind of understand what that is. You know, they understand that the dream is only a dream unless you actually go and put yourself and you're willing to take the punches. You're willing to take those black eyes for it.
We was having this conversation on The Shop on HBO the other day. And now, Rob Gronkowski was there and Kevin Love was there. Rob played with Tom Brady, of course. Kevin Love played with LeBron James. And I'm like, I think there's a GOAT gene. Like, I don't care how hard you work. Like
nature
you
versus
can be 6'10",
nurture. Yeah.
220. Yeah. You can be in the gym as long as LeBron. You can practice as long as him. You can eat the same things he's eating, even wear the same jersey. You won't be him.
That's right.
Like,
yeah.
I just don't think you can get to certain levels.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's DNA, right? There's the nature versus nurture thing, which is I think we are born with inherent traits. You know, in my family, I come from a long lineage of female songwriters and storytellers. I'm a guitarist. I taught my niece, who's also, female, taught her to play guitar when she was 8. It runs in the family a little bit. But there's also something to be said about having the gift and not doing anything with the gift. I know a lot of talented people who are lazy as fuck. I think there's a difference between having talent and also having ethic and obsession and rebelliousness and hypnotism and all the things that we talk about in the book. Those traits need to be applied. Otherwise, I don't think you will achieve those things.
Mm-hmm. Now, what is the Trevor Project?
The Trevor Project is an organization that helps suicide prevention for teens and young adults in the LGBTQ community. Mm-hmm. For every pre-sale order of our book, we gave 50 cents to the Trevor Project.
Oh,
so
wow.
We're really excited to do that. It's an organization that I think is having a great effect on our culture and our society. There's way too many people out there feeling completely hopeless around who they are. Yeah. And that should not be the case at all. And sometimes they're beaten and even killed for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we wanted to have this book give something back. It took us a long time to write it. I mean, we are all of the 7 vices in this book. We fought with our publisher. We fought for the cover. We fought for the design. We fought for the subtitle. We fought for everything for this thing and fought ourselves, to try to bring it into being. And it was so funny when we were writing it. We're like, God, we're all 7 of these vices. Like, how do we remind ourselves to turn them into virtues? Because there's a duality to all of these things. And that's why they are vices and virtues, But that was a big thing that we talked about is contributing to something that we felt was making the world a better place.
And what is Motto? Because Motto's another
Motto's our branding agency. Okay. Yeah. So that's what we started. And we do that. That's kind of our day job. But we've gotten the writing bug, and I think we're thinking about. I told her the other day, I'm like, already thinking about our second book, and she's like, don't even just stop right now. Just quit talking, because it was a lot.
How do y'all stay friends so long?
Well, we're partners first and foremost. Mm-hmm. But it's you're talking about 20 some years of knowing each other and being able to overcome a lot of adversity, and you get forged in the fire because of that. Mm-hmm. And so this book was part of that. And certainly the journey into starting Motto was test every bit of who you are. Because a lot of people, when you hear no, a lot of people just hang it up. Right. And we hear no. And we were like, how do we turn that into a yes?
All you need is one yes.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, this book was rejected 18 times. We literally went, the first version of this book got rejected by every major publisher. And we set it up, and we were literally fighting ourselves and saying, I don't know if we can do this. That was a lot of no's, and we were just surrounded in defeat. And it wasn't until we have a mentor of ours who has known us since we were kids. And I remember we called him up on Skype and we were really feeling down. And we were on Skype. He presses his face up against the glass and he goes, get your ass back to that desk and start writing that book. He's like, that is a fucking brilliant book. What are you doing? Like, you wrote the book on audacity. You wrote the book on obsession. Why are you giving up? Like, this is worth being out there. And we went back to the table, and everyone in the publishing industry, it's kind of a known thing that you don't go back with the same title that you were rejected with. Of course, we didn't listen because we're audacious. And we go back to the publishers and we submit it, to the dismay of everyone around us, telling, you're crazy. You're going to piss them off. And we said, but we believe in this so much. Like, we believe in the title. We think the title is so strong. Like, why would we hang up the dream? And we went back and it went to a bidding war.
Wow.
And when did y'all get y'all office out the ghetto? At what point?
We were a few years. Yeah, we were probably in the ghetto for a while. I mean, we started in a 14 by 14 room in an empty warehouse. And then we probably a few years into it, after we started getting, some money and getting profitable, we expanded into that warehouse and then worked out of that for a few years. And then we picked up and moved to Dallas.
Did you try to do anything to make the ghetto better while you was there?
Yeah, that was a tough area for us because we were, it was kind of a cul-de-sac and like, we were right up.
Crack deals down the street, and I walked. One day I walked out. It was like 6, 7 o'clock at night, and we were going home, and I had two guys sitting in the front seat of my car.
Yeah, getting ready to take her
and
bag.
I was like, oh shit. And so it was hard. It was a real challenge.
What did you do? Did you call the police or did you try to stop?
I ran out there like an asshole.
We did.
Of course.
And I'm like, what are you doing in my car? I kind of.
Yeah, we could have gotten shot, but we literally we were so naive. We just walked out there at the time, and we didn't really. I think we were just so young and just so bold that we literally I walked out to the car. I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And they dropped the bags and ran, but they could have. They could have hurt us.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
we were in a really, really shady part of town where we heard gunshots all the time. People were getting stabbed right around the corner. Like,
why
it
that
was
area
intense.
though?
Well, it was cheap.
Okay.
It was all we
was
could
cheap.
afford.
Yeah.
No, my dad had the warehouse and he rented it out to us. He owned the warehouse and he was like, now look, if you guys are going to give this dream a go, you got to know what you're walking into. And we were like, we'll take it. We'll
Put you
we'll
right in
take
the
it.
middle of the hood.
Put me right in the middle of the hood. But we learned a lot.
What's the area like now?
It's still pretty hoodish.
Yeah.
It's not really. I wouldn't say it's gotten a little bit better, but the warehouse is still there. My brother now runs it, and it's pretty seedy. I mean, that's just the part of the area that we grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
And when we moved to Dallas, it was like a whole nother world where everything it's so clean and it's so polished and it's a really nice area. So it was just a step in a different direction for us. We wanted to challenge ourselves.
You moved to New York City, back to the dirt, back to the rats, back to the grime.
Yeah. It's been intense, no doubt. I mean, I grew up in a very small town, and to throw ourselves in the midst of what we did and how we did it challenges every part of who you are. It tests you for sure.
All right, well, we appreciate you for joining
Rare
us.
Breed.
Sonny and Ashley, their book Rare Breed is out. Make sure you pick it up.
It's out
Yes,
right now,
come
right?
get it. It is,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.